You didn't quit. You didn't give up. You just failed so many times. That part of you stopped believing it could ever work. And that's the most dangerous failure of all. There's a silence that only failure creates. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet. You wake up, and before your phone lights up, before the world asks anything from you, there's this heavy thought already waiting. Why do I keep ending up here? Same position, same frustration, different year. You don't talk about this part, because from the outside, you look fine. You're functioning, you're surviving, you're even smiling, but inside, you're tired. Not physically. You're tired of hoping, tired of restarting, tired of convincing yourself that this time will be different. Listen carefully. You're not scared of hard work. You're scared of putting everything into something again and watching it fail. Again. Think back to the beginning. Before the doubt, before the disappointment, there was a version of you that believed. You had plans, energy, that quiet confidence that said, I'm going to make something of this. You stayed up late. You imagined a different life. You felt ahead of the person you were, and then life introduced you to resistance. The first rejection, the first result that didn't match the effort, the first moment you realized wanting something wasn't enough. That's where the struggle really began. Not outside, inside. Because failure didn't just block your path. It questioned your identity. Maybe I'm not built for this. Maybe others are just different. Maybe I missed my chance. You didn't quit right away. You tried again and again, but something changed. Your effort became cautious. Your dreams became quieter. Your standards started negotiating. That's how exhaustion starts. Then came the first real failure, the one that hurt, the one you still remember, not because it failed, but because you believed in it. Maybe you told people. Maybe you invested money. Maybe you finally committed publicly, and it collapsed. That moment didn't just disappoint you. It embarrassed you. You stopped talking as much. You stopped sharing plans. You stopped trusting your own excitement. You learned how to look calm while feeling defeated. And slowly, very slowly, you started lowering expectations. Not because you wanted less, because you didn't want to hurt again. Don't skip this. That's the exact moment most people get stuck for years. Here's the truth nobody likes to hear. Failure didn't ruin you. Avoiding responsibility did. Listen carefully. Responsibility is not about blame. It's not about punishment. It's about ownership. When something fails and you immediately look outward, circumstances, people, timing, luck, you protect your ego, but you lose your power. Because anything that isn't yours is also not yours to fix. Responsibility is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it's also the only place control exists. Let's be honest. You didn't fail because you lacked potential. You failed because you didn't master the basics long enough. Consistency, focus, discipline when it wasn't exciting. That's not an insult. That's clarity. Most people confuse intensity with commitment. They go hard for a week, a month, sometimes 3. Then life gets boring. Results slow down. Validation disappears. And they start asking, is this even working? That question is usually asked right before quitting. Responsibility means you stop asking if it's working and start asking if you're still showing up. Your early struggle wasn't wasted. It was revealing. It showed you where you avoid discomfort, where you rush progress, where you expect outcomes before earning them. Failure didn't mean stop. It meant, you don't get to skip this part. Listen, every level has a price, and your first major failure showed you the bill. Responsibility is deciding to pay it, without complaining, without shortcuts, without needing applause. Here's a shift that changes everything. You stop trying to feel motivated. Motivation is emotional. Responsibility is structural. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Responsibility asks, what needs to be done? And then it moves. The people you admire aren't stronger than you. They just stop negotiating with themselves. They don't debate mornings. They don't argue with discipline. They don't wait for confidence. They act first. Confidence follows. Let's talk about time, because this is where responsibility becomes real. You don't lack time. You leak it, scrolling, overthinking, waiting for the perfect plan. Responsibility is choosing to be bored doing the right thing instead of entertained doing nothing. Listen carefully. The work that changes your life is usually quiet. No one claps, no one notices, no one cares, and that's why it works. Because it forces you to rely on character, not validation. Failure taught you something important. It showed you the cost of inconsistency. Now responsibility asks one question. Are you willing to pay the cost of consistency instead? That cost is repetition, patience, doing the same thing when it stops feeling new. You don't need to do more. You need to quit quitting. Here's where identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to succeed and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes, even slowly, even imperfectly, even without excitement. Responsibility becomes your identity, not because you say it, because you prove it daily. Small promises kept, small actions done, again and again. Your past failures don't define you. Your response to them does. You can keep protecting yourself from disappointment, or you can take responsibility for growth. One leads to comfort, the other leads to freedom. No one is coming to save you. Not because you're alone, but because this was always meant to be yours. So here's the decision. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. You stop explaining. You stop waiting. You stop asking for permission. You do the work. Today, not perfectly, but responsibly. That's how failure loses power. That's how confidence returns. That's how your life finally moves forward. Take responsibility today, start now, and subscribe if you're building discipline, not excuses.